There's a game I've been waiting for that I'm starting to think may never exist. Not because the idea is impossible. Actually, that's the frustrating part. The idea is very possible. We live in a world where Batman got the Arkham series, Spider-Man has the Insomniac games, and just to be blunt, Star Wars has no shortage of games that are absolute bangers to play. Superheroes get games that don't just let you control them, they let you feel like them. And every time I play one of those games, part of me thinks, man, why doesn't Buzz have this? And yeah, I get it, he's a Pixar character and pretty much just a joke for as far as, being taken seriously is concerned. But I'm not really worried about the toy. I'm not worried about the nostalgia of Toy Story. I'm talking about a real Buzz Lightyear game. Not, some type of scroller where you gotta play the same mission over and over again, or, just rehashing the events of Toy Story. I'm talking about a game that treats him like a space superhero that he should be. And since that game doesn't exist, I think I need to stop waiting for it. So what's the goal then? Well, I'm going to explain what I'm looking for, why it matters to me, and where this channel might go from here.
It's a new run, new path, let the journey begin. Ninja way, trainer hard, yeah, we're all in. Through the winds and the pain, we'll rise again. Believe it, this series never ends.
I want to start by just kind of clearing the air. This is really not a nostalgia trip. I'm not sitting here saying, I liked Buzz as a kid, therefore every game should be about Buzz. Obviously that's not the case, and honestly it would be getting kind of boring. But that's not really what this is. For the longest time, Buzz Lightyear has been the iconic Toy Story character that everyone knows and loves. He's got the catchphrases, the jokes, and obviously he's just kind of a plastic space guy, to infinity and beyond and all that. But the main point is that if you actually see the ranger that's underneath all of that, there's so much more to be able to go through. You got an elite protector, a trained galactic officer, a hero with a code, a recognizable suit, obviously, but that kind of goes hand in hand with things like Doom and stuff like that. And for the most part, it's kind of untouched. This is not just toy material here, this is superhero material. And that's the part of Buzz that I just can't stop thinking about. Think about it like this. If Batman protects Gotham, Buzz protects sectors of space. If Spider-Man is about responsibility, Buzz can be about duty. If Green Lantern is a space cop superhero, why can't Buzz be? I mean, especially if you're going to be going outside of that same neighborhood, but it's the same idea, really. He has the pieces, he's got the suits and the gadgets, and honestly, there's a lot of actual lore that's part of his character that nobody really ever talks about. And I know it might sound kind of funny thinking about this when he really is just a character that Pixar created for Toy Story, but that's kind of the point. We've been trained to look at him like he's a joke at first, but imagine if a game took him seriously. And I'm not talking about the games that are kind of edgy and dark, like, for Warhammer 40k or something similar like that. I don't really want a miserable Buzz Lightyear and, someone dealing with real-world problems quite to the extent that is entailed. But I want a sincere, heroic attempt at making this character something more than just a toy. Now, obviously, jokes notwithstanding, that is kind of his thing.
You are a toy!
But it can definitely be done. Now, the reason why I keep on bringing up games like Batman Arkham is because Arkham understood something important. It didn't just make a game with Batman in it, it asked, what does it feel like to be Batman? And then everything in the game supported that. The stealth made you feel like Batman, the gadgets made you feel like some type of billionaire who actually has access to all these things, the detective mission made you feel like Batman. Everything in this game works for it. It's not just a suit, you're not just living a fantasy, you are being Batman. Same thing with Spider-Man. You deal with all the heartache, you deal with all the things that make Spider-Man a real character, and then, on top of all that, it's beautifully made, and you have actual web-slinging mechanics that make you feel like you're Spider-Man. It's kind of like you get lost in it, and it's not just a map anymore, it's an actual city. You feel the responsibility of everything, and the bosses are more than just that. They're actual things you have to worry about. There's something that you have to plan for and strategize about. Now, granted, a lot of those story-based fights are, again, story-based, but you get the idea. It's more than just, oh, go attack them with their health, until their health bar disappears and stuff like that. Like it's more than that. It actually makes you feel like you're trying to accomplish something. And that's the level of treatment that I want Buzz to have. I want a game where it feels like every mechanic in the game is saying, what does it feel like to be a space ranger? So what would that actually look like? To me, a real Buzz Lightyear game would not just be a third-person shooter. That would honestly be a pretty lazy version of how it would want things. So let's kind of break it down. First, the suit. Buzz's suit should be his superhero identity. It's more than just that, though. It's also just a symbol of what he stands for. I'd love to see the whole idea of how Insomniac handles this type of stuff, where you have multiple suits for different things, and you actually get to be able to, customize things based on the abilities of the suit. Much similar to the way that the suit makes you feel like you are Batman, I want the suit to make you feel like you are a space ranger, that you have a sworn duty to protect and serve. The jetpack would be something similar to like Buzz's cape or Spider-Man's web. It's a way of traversing a city or a planetoid that would be bigger than anything we've ever seen. Now, obviously there are limitations to that, and honestly, we're getting pretty far with that, but we still have a long way to go, and you can make a lot with just the small stuff that we have now. I've seen countless mods on PC and everything like that that show Spider-Man constantly flying with his gliding mode, but it's actually like a modded thing where he flies. And you could easily do something like that, and I suspect that is probably something that's going to be happening with the upcoming Iron Man game that they're doing. Or if you wanted to ground things maybe a little bit, make it more of like Bo from Jedi Fallen Order. Have him be able to have like a super jump with the jetpack, or have it be a limited time thing and then he can glide afterwards. After all, he's like the whole
"That wasn't flying, that was falling with style"
instead of flying type of thing. And of course you get to the combat as well. Now, again, I don't want something that's as like gritty and dark as, Doom Guy or something like that, or even something as in your face as the way Arkham does their fighting. When I think of an even more realistic Buzz, I still don't really imagine somebody breaking every bone in your body just to be able to get what they want. It's still more or less Batman's way of things. But above all, above everything else, I want the game to be more than just combat simulator. I want it to be about the crimes, about Buzz solving things. Above all anything, he is also a cop. He's a detective. And to beyond that, you have the missing ships and the distress signals and, space travel and all these other things that, could be expanded upon later on down the line, but also they need to have a story that makes you care about what's happening to the character. That's kind of why I always liked games like Insomniac Spider-Man or even stuff like the Arkham series games. It's more than just beating up criminals and moving on to the next mission. It's more about there is a place that needs your help, and you were the only one that can actually help out. And this is kind of where Star Command becomes so important. Buzz by himself is a cool concept and a cool idea, but without the lore behind it, there really is just nothing more than the toy. With Star Command, he has an actual lore behind him. He has something that's similar to like Justice League and the Watchtower, or, everything involving Star Wars, basically, because let's face it, there's just too much lore there, from the Death Star to, billions of other things, but you get the idea. But then you could think about it like this: what if we had something where a planet doesn't want our help? The politics of the Galactic Republic and just everything involving all that. That in and of itself is an extremely compelling part of the story that I feel like really doesn't get much actual coverage. And this is the kind of stuff that my brain gets stuck on. This is the deep dive version of Buzz that I actually want. Not just, laser go pew pew. Kind of like how in my Fallout video, that's basically the only thing that was actually connecting the Fallout world to Buzz. But what does it actually mean to be a protector on that scale? And this is why Lightyear hit me in a weird way. When that movie was announced, I remember thinking, okay, this might actually be it. And in fairness, they still might do something with it that actually makes them take the character a little bit more seriously. But from the time dilation plotline and all the inconsistencies with that, it's clear to me that they weren't actually worried about making Buzz a serious character, and more just trying to give Chris Evans a payday, or whatever the case may be. Something in between Captain America movies, basically. But the point being is that this was actually something that made me feel like they were going to take the character to new places. But looking at it, it made so much more sense. The suit looked practical, the ships looked heavier, the world actually felt like it had some weight to it. It gave me hope of a Buzz that could exist outside of a toy box. And again, I don't really want something that's edgy or, grimdark or whatever the case may be. I'm not asking for Warhammer 40k buzz, but I am asking for something that takes the character a little bit more seriously than what we've gotten so far. And Lightyear did a lot of things wrong, but it also got a lot of things right. To me, it was a proof of concept. It made me think that it wasn't a crazy idea for having a more grounded buzz. I just didn't think it pushed enough for the idea to be able to actually work. And that brings me to gaming. Obviously, you have games that are focused more for space, like things like Elite Dangerous and Starfield and stuff like that. But to me, it never felt like they actually cared about the player, because it's kind of a just choose your own adventure at that point in time. You get to control what happens. It's like an RPG. And then you have games like Mass Effect, where there is a really galactic level hero, but also it doesn't have a lot of the things that I like to add through that. Like, it's got very limited space travel. You don't really get to see the more human side of things until way into the game, when you have a lot of the characters interacting with each other. And oftentimes it's more about romance plots than anything else. But there is that thing that I like, where it's got the crew and the politics and stuff like that, but maybe on a more grounded scale. Games like No Man's Sky gets the wonder of the whole thing, where you get to see space for what it is and exploring strange planets with different life forms. And the size of the actual game is massive, and that's exactly what I've been looking for. And games like Helldivers gets you the drop-in mission structure, where at a moment's notice, anyone in the world can need our help, but obviously you may not be fighting hordes of, space bugs, whatever the case may be. But none of these things fully encapsulate what I want out of this game. They're just scattered pieces across multiple franchises, multiple games, that feel like they're pulling something from me, but just can't quite scratch that itch. And that's part of why I get stuck. It's part of why I don't really know what to do in my head about playing these games. I want to do something about Buzz because he's meant so much to me. And honestly, I'd like this channel to be partially, a showcase of a lot of different games, mainly superhero games, because I think that's the funnest ones to play. But to me, the game in my head always wins over the game that I want. And this is where I get to the crux of what I've been trying to accomplish here. This is where I want to be able to change my videos from Naruto videos and Pokemon Nuzlocke to something more story-based. I like Let's Plays, and there's definitely still room for all those things, but let's face it, Naruto only has so many things going for it, and I can't center my content solely around that. And obviously, for the people that did like that content, the Pokemon videos may not be able to satisfy those more lore-based and story-based aspects of those games. I want to show the people that have stuck with me for this long the deeper, weirder, almost too specific parts of my brain that says, hey, this is a cool thing that I obsess over, maybe you would find it interesting as well. Because ultimately, that's why I started this channel. I wanted to do something where I was playing these games anyway, I was having these conversations with myself anyway. I may need to get that checked out. Either way, doesn't matter. Point being is, this was something that I was going to do regardless, so why not share it with people that enjoy it? And obviously I'm not, a massive channel by any means, and to the people that do actually watch my content, it's something where it's never been about the number to me, but every one of those numbers matters. Those are people behind those numbers. They're people that watch the same stuff that I watch, and they enjoy the same content that I enjoy, so it's very much appreciated. And because I want to be able to give you guys the content that you want and the content that I want, I've kind of gotten stuck. Because if the game existed, I could just play the game. And if the videos didn't work, I could blame the game itself. But if I make this kind of hodgepodge and collage of stuff that I think would kind of be similar, and it doesn't work out, it feels a lot more personal. That was my idea, my interpretation, my weird obsession. And that's kind of a scary thought, but I also think that might be the point. Maybe the reason this idea keeps bothering me is because it's not just a game I want to play, maybe it's the content I want to make. So ultimately, what's the point? Where does this all go? I don't think I can keep waiting for the perfect Buzz Lightyear game when the movies and the actual material that it comes from doesn't take him seriously enough to give him a game even based off of Lightyear, for that matter. So instead, why not turn their search itself into content? I I want to look at games like Starfield, Mass Effect, No Man's Sky, Halo, the Arkham games, and Spider-Man, and whatever else gets close, and just kind of ask, what piece of the Space Ranger fantasy does this game understand? And obviously that's not the point of the games, but it's kind of easy to think about it. It's kind of fun to be able to think about what parts of this game could become a game that everyone who wants this game would enjoy. Maybe one game fits the suit perfectly, like the upcoming Iron Man game, or even the past ones, because honestly, they have a lot of customization and a lot of traversal and stuff like that. Maybe one game gets the ship right. I haven't had much luck with the Starfield system as far as building ships goes, but if nothing else, Elite Dangerous has a lot of great ships. Maybe one game gets the heroic tone correct. Maybe another gets the structure right. And ultimately, maybe some of the games actually get something that I didn't even think of correct. And by all means, obviously I don't want to completely compare something to a thing in my brain that would never actually exist, or at least won't exist for a very long time, given how things have gone so far. But I do want to be able to enjoy these games for what they are instead of what I want them to be. But at the same time, where's the harm in seeing something that we can all kind of compare to and, just have a fun little scoring system based on what we want? We could do something like a hero system, or, like, oh, how much does this game have a heroic protector? Or does this suit or gear feel iconic? Does the flight system feel like something where I could actually apply it to Buzz? Or is it more like a Destiny type of thing where it's just a quick little jump boost? Or even just silly things like, could I put this into a Space Ranger roleplay and have it make continuity and sense and have it be part of a lore? And if a game gives me those pieces, or at least enough of them, then it gives me something valuable, even if it's not perfect. So where do we start with all this? My idea is I think I'm going to be starting with a couple of smaller games, working my way up to games like Starfield and No Man's Sky, and a lot of these might be stream games. I've even found a mod pack on Minecraft that makes me feel like it's like Galacticraft, but maybe a little bit newer, and has those mods that I particularly like, and I can add new ones that I wouldn't be able to do in 1.12, stuff like that. Now, can Starfield become my Buzz Lightyear game? Probably not. And really, it shouldn't. That's not what it's set out to be. But can it get me close, and can it get me to the point where I feel confident and comfortable playing these other games without getting stuck in my head about, well, is it ever going to be enough? So, the perfect Buzz Lightyear game may not exist. But maybe waiting for it has been the wrong move. Maybe the better move is to start searching for it in other games, and mods, and roleplay, and superhero mechanics from other games, and just to make something that feels more natural. Because the game I want is not something I can just buy. Maybe it's something I have to build as a creator, piece by piece, video by video, creating that lore that doesn't want to create itself. Because to infinity and beyond should feel like more than a catchphrase. It should feel like a mission. Thank you for listening to my rant, and hopefully you had some things to agree with. Tell me in the comments what you think the actual best Buzz Lightyear alternative should be. And without further ado, if you guys did enjoy, please drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you are new. And as always, you guys, this has been Mr. AMEKAGE, and I'm signing out.